What's up, guys? The Apex Gamer here, and today we're going to be discussing which car is better, the X-80 Proto or the Turismo R on GT Online. Now I know what you guys are thinking. You guys are thinking, well, the Turismo R definitely cannot compete with the X-80, and I'm here to prove that wrong. And this video is here to prove it. The Turismo R can in fact beat the X-80 in certain conditions. The Turismo R can beat the X-80 on a road course, and during a drag race, the Turismo R can keep up with the X-80 slightly. Slightly is the key word here. Now, here's where everyone gets this misconception of the X-80 being this great car. It really isn't, because even though the Turismo R can't really beat it, I've seen Zentornos and T20s and Osiris's beat the X-80. Doesn't matter if it's a road course or not. So, let's go ahead and start from the underdog. Let's talk about the Turismo R. Now, what does it have compared to the X-80? Well, it doesn't have speed. It does get ran down somewhat. On straightaways, the Turismo R really can't compete with the X-80. But what it does have is handling, low in acceleration, a low stance for the car, and above all else, it has a very, very good turning radius. The X-80 doesn't really. I mean, you're watching the video right now, all you see is the car sliding. Stock, the X-80, actually, it doesn't matter if it's stock or not, the X-80 slides no matter what. You can add a spoiler to it to try and increase handling, and it does not help. The reason being is because this car is very heavy. It also is not meant to be on a road course. It's a drag car. I know what you guys think, but it's not a drag car. It doesn't sound like one. Well, that's not entirely the case. All because it doesn't look like a drag car, it doesn't sound like a drag car, doesn't mean it's not a drag car. This car is meant for speed, and that's it. It's not meant to go on a road course, which is why it continues to lose severely, because it can't make the turns because it has to go slower around the corners in order to make the turns. The Turismo does not have to do that, which is what makes the Turismo that much of a better car on road courses. So with that being said, if you take the X-80 onto a road course against any other car, unless it's a low-tier supercar, like, say, the Bullet, or the Cheetah, or the Adder, it will win. The X-80 will win against those cars. But if you're going up against higher-tier supers, such as Turismos, T20s, Osiris's, Entities, what else? The new hypercars, like the FMJs, the other hypercars that I can't remember right now, it will lose every time on a road course. Now, on a straightaway, like just a strip, like a drag strip, the X-80 will lose to the T20, the Osiris, and the Zentorno. People have already tested it. It's been confirmed. I don't even need to prove it. You can go Google it, and it will show. I think it was, I don't know how to say his name, apologies. Brahi covered it. Another guy named P. Tarnu or something like that. Some other racing guy on GTA covered it as well. And they both said that the T20 and Osiris and Zentorno can in fact beat the X-80. So another factor that the Turismo has against the X-80 is acceleration. Now, this is where I'm going to blow your guys' minds with the Turismo. No one really knows this unless you read the fine print of the car on the website. The Turismo does in fact have a hybrid engine in it. Yes, we are literally looking at a glorified Prius. Not kidding. Now, when you go and look at the website for the Turismo, it will say that it has a hybrid engine. exactly what the Prius has. So when you're going below, say, 60 miles per hour for the Turismo, it will use mainly electric power, which means the tires won't necessarily spin. Electricity is what drives the car at those low miles per hour, which is why whenever you hear me coming out of the turns, you don't hear the tires spin. You don't see the tires spin. You just see the car constantly digging. Imagine it like an RC car. It immediately digs, and it doesn't spin the tires. It's not overcompensating the power. It's not undercompensating the power. It is exact. However hard you press on the throttle is the exact power that you will get with the car's power. You can't overcompensate or undercompensate, which makes this car really good coming out of turns and going through turns, which is why this car dominates the X80. The X80 doesn't have that. It's strictly a gas-powered car, which means that the car does overcompensate. So that's another main point with the Turismo. Now, another key factor, and this is one I love, because I just cringe so fucking hard when people say, oh, well, the X80 is the best car in the game. Well, no, it's really not, because when I tell you this, you're going to realize another key point that the Turismo has against the X80 is turning radius. Take the X80 and try to swing that car around a corner as fast as you can without crashing. And then take the Turismo, take it around the same damn corner as fast as you can without crashing, and you will see that you will have to go slower in order to make that turn. And you will have to sweep wider with the X80 to make that turn rather with the Turismo. With that also, the X80 is also, as P. Carnew put it, or whatever his name is, I'll link him in the description, both Brahe and P. Carnew. He said, and I quote, that the X80 is as big as Russia, end quote. And I have to agree. The car is massive. It dwarfs the Turismo. It takes up the whole damn road. Like one lane on this road right here that we're watching right now, it could take up the whole road. Not kidding. So try and swing that car through a corner like this one coming up. Another key factor with the Turismo is its stancing. It is the lowest sitting car on the game. So that means that there is a lower center of gravity with the car, which means that you will most likely slide less. And if you do slide, it's not very apparent. With the X80, including its weight, the X80 has a higher center of gravity than the Turismo, which means it slides more. Also, the X80 is fucking fat. It's fat. And not fat as in size, I mean fat as in weight. The car is heavy as sin. Honestly, I think it's heavier than the Adder. Because you will watch, whenever I'm driving a car, I'm over here slipping and sliding constantly. You might just be thinking, oh, well, you can just drift a car. Well, if you know how physics work, you'll realize that doesn't work. Reason being is because, well, what happens when you drift? What do you need to do when you drift? Well, first off, you need to get the car sliding, which causes friction. Secondly, you need to keep the tire spinning so whatever power you have is being applied. But when you're drifting, guess what? Your tires and the back end are spinning. So that means that you are still losing power. Now, compared to just going around the corner and apexing, like me and Savage are here, when you drift, you're losing power. Therefore, you're losing speed. So, while I'm over here apexing with the Turismo, the X80 is having to slide and drift and all this crazy shit in order to make it around the corner. Therefore, it's going even slower than it would have been trying to take that turn. So, yeah. So to clarify, the Turismo beats the X80 at handling, turning, acceleration, weight, and above all else, center of gravity. While the X80 only has one thing on it, and that's speed and size, if you want to go about it jokingly. So yeah. Now let's talk about the X80. The X80 only has speed and size for it, and suffers from everything that the Turismo has going for it. So there's not a lot going for it. Um, if you ever watch drag racing shows, movies, whatever, you realize that drag cars tend to only need speed and grip. They don't really need weight. They don't really need to be able to turn. They don't really need um, center of gravity. Well, they need center of gravity, but not that much. So that's exactly what the X80 has. So when you go and try and take this car that's meant for drag racing onto a road course, you don't get very good results. In fact, you get very poor results. That's why you can get beat by every little thing, or almost every little thing. Which is why you see it sliding and crashing every which way, because it's not meant to turn. It's not meant to go on a road course. It's meant to be a drag car. It's meant to go in a straight line. And that's the misconception with everyone. Everyone wants to think, oh, well, all because it's fast has a big old price tag, that's a really good car. And that's just not the case. All because you pay for something expensive doesn't mean it's always the best. It could be a really overpriced piece of shit. It's exactly what the X80 is. Another key factor that the X80 suffers from is the price. Now, how much does the X80 cost? You're probably wondering if you haven't bought it yet. It costs around $2,750,000, I think. It's somewhere in there. It's really expensive. Now, $2,700,000. Okay. Well, that doesn't sound too bad at first. I mean, yeah, it doesn't sound that bad until you realize that, hey, I still need to upgrade it, and then I need to go race it and test it. And then when you realize that the car's a piece of shit because it's not meant to be on a road course, it's meant to be on a drag strip, you're gonna hate yourself. Cause, yeah, it sucks. And how many races do you go and you see a long straight run on a track? How many times do you see that? Not very often. You see a lot of races where you go on a road course, or you see Rockstar created races, or you see stunt races. Not a lot of times you see a drag race. In fact, I think I've only seen one the whole year so far. One. So yeah, that says something. So this car is not only all these things are bad with it, it's also pretty much unusable. Now, free roam, you might drive around it just to flaunt your money. Say, oh, well, I got this. Haha, okay. Fair enough. But that whole point of it still applies. When you got to get away from someone who's chasing you, this car is not meant for you. I mean, if you got to get away from someone, this car is not going to do it well. It's going to crash into everything because it's fucking huge, and it's only good in a straight line. And all it takes is for someone to figure out that, hey, inertia plus me throwing the C4 plus Rockstar's retarded physics equals I can throw that C4 about 3 fucking miles. And here you are driving in a straight line. You're a pretty easy target. Just saying. So to clarify, the X80 is not good on a road course. It has a lot of things going against it. Price-wise, it's fucking expensive for a car that's even cheaper than it to beat it. And it's unusable. Downright unusable. Now, I'm going to ask a question again. How many times do you drag race on like a legitimate race where you are racing for money? How many times? Not very often. So yeah. I could take this Turismo out and I can use it to get away from people. I can use it to do races. I can use it for stunt races. Kind of. It's a pretty low setting car. Stunt races are kind of pushing it. But I think I could. So yeah, so the Turismo is not only all those things that I said that are good about it, it's also more usable. It's just better. And if the Turismo isn't for you, any car that is a higher tier as the Turismo is for you. So the T20, the Osiris, the Zentorno, those cars are for you. If you want to beat the X80, get those cars. Seriously. Because as far as I'm concerned, the X80 sucks. And as far as from what I've seen when I was testing these cars for the past 2 days, 2 days I've been testing this car, and I've been getting the same results as what I'm telling you. I wouldn't tell you guys anything wrong. I'm not going to lie on videos. That's fucking stupid. So yeah. I mean, all it takes is for one person to know their shit. So there's no point. Besides that, why? It's a video game. Makes no sense. Besides that, I'm here. My goal here is to try and save you money. I'm not here to complain, to bitch, to grab, to moan. I'm not here to do that. I'm here trying to save you guys money and time, so you guys don't go out for 2 weeks on GTA Online grinding missions and heists and CEO work, only to buy a shit car and get ripped off by losing 25% of the profits that you earned into the game. You know, those 2 weeks you'll never get back. That's my goal for this video to you. So yeah. So, and if there's any naysayers, anyone who's in denial that they got ripped off, which you did, who bought the car, I'm going to show the times for both the drag races and for the road course races between the Turismo and the X-80, just to prove that I'm in fact not bullshitting you. You guys have been truly ripped off. When the T20 came out, that one was kind of, well, it's more usable. But this car is truly unusable. It's the first hypercar, and we're already seeing it do terrible. So here we are. Here's the first times. Here's for the first race on the Palomino Highlands. I got 218, and Savage got 232. The second race, I got 215. He got 240. I almost lapped him. And then the third race on Grapeseed F1, I got 204. I got 204. He got 224. And just to prove that I was in fact racing the X-80, here I am actually racing it. And now Savage's not used to driving my car, which is why he's kind of struggling to get away from me. But here's the thing. He's still winning. He's still winning. He's pulling away from me somewhat. Why? Because we're on a road course. Because he has acceleration. But this is where my speed starts to get him. And you see I start to pull him. Just like I said, this car is a drag car, so getting on the straightaway is where this car dominates. But again, Turismo pulls out away from me because it has the acceleration. Therefore, I lost. But look at the times. Look at the lap times that we get. Because I was driving the car. Two completely different drivers. Same results. I still lose. Or the X-80 still loses. But look at the lap times to prove that it's in fact the car. And here's Rockstar being buggy, like usual. Fucking GTA. Piece of shit. Look at the lap times. 232.871 to 232.864. That's what I'm getting at. This car is not meant for road courses, and I've just proved it. I did another race, but it corrupted. But I was about 5 seconds slower. He got, I think it was 224, and I got 231, I believe it was. I got it written down right here. So yeah. Like, as I'm talking, I'm looking right at the paper that I have it written down on. And it says 231.845, and I got 231.226. And I was driving the X-80. That's what I'm saying. So, the proof is there. So, now to prove that it's in fact a drag racing car, I'm going to show me drag racing the X-80 versus the Turismo just to prove my point even farther. So now we're going to be covering the X-80 versus the Turismo drag racing. So, as I said, the Turismo will get its ass kicked in, kind of, by the X-80. In fact, I was thoroughly surprised that the Turismo wasn't doing worse, which more proves my point. It depends on the launch and depends on the driver. And now remember, I didn't even double clutch this. I did not even double clutch a Turismo. You can do that. You can double clutch a Turismo, and I bet that would have made a difference if I were to try to double clutch the Turismo. So if you guys want to try that, let me know in the comments how that works. Let me know. That's just driving it standard without double clutching it. The Turismo lost by a couple, I think it's by a couple car lengths, like 1 or 2, but the Turismo is a hell of a lot slower than the X80, yet it was somewhat keeping up. That's what I'm getting at here, is that the Turismo should have lost significantly, yet it didn't. It's a mid-tier super versus a hypercar. Yet here's the Turismo somewhat keeping up with the X80. That's what I'm saying here. The Turismo is a really, really good car, and the X80 is trash. This is the fastest car in the game, and you're telling me that can hardly outrun a Turismo? That's what I'm getting at. Everyone wants to defend that the X80 is that much better. And look at it. It's got all-wheel drive, and it should have a better launch time than the Turismo, yet it doesn't. The Turismo launches at relatively the same speed and keeps up with it at the very beginning of the drag race, and then falls behind because it doesn't have the speed that the X80 has. But you're telling me, you're gonna sit here and tell me that the X80 is that much better when it can hardly outrun a mid-tier super on a drag strip, where the X80 should be dominating every car. It can't even outrun a Turismo. It can hardly outrun it. The X80 should have smoked it. The Turismo should have been at least 15-20 car lengths behind, since it's just a mid-tier super. The Turismo is meant to be a race car on like a road course, on Le Mans tracks. Yet here it is, somewhat keeping up with the X80. And here's the times for the drag races. All right. So as I said, the Turismo lost the drag races, but look at the time slots that they had between each other. The Turismo had, for the first race, the Turismo had 20.34 seconds, while the X80 had a 22.10. The second one, the Turismo had a 21.92 second run, while the X80 had a 23.02. The third run, the Turismo had a 19.51, while the X80 had a 23.99. Then the fourth run, the Turismo had a 22.01, while the X80 had a 24.89. Each time, there was between 1 to 3 seconds in between. Okay, 1 to 3 seconds. That's pretty sad. You know, it should be at least 5 to 6 seconds. We're talking about a hybrid engine car that relies on turning to win. Yet here it is keeping up with the X80 that's built for speed and aerodynamics. And the Turismo is keeping right up. How can you say that the X80 is much better than the Turismo when a Turismo is just right behind it? What about the Zentorno? What about the Osiris? What about the Osiris? What about the T20? What about the Entity? What about them? Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm calling bullshit that this is one of the best cars. Each and every one of you who have watched this video, who are watching this right now, I bet you guys are questioning your logic right now, saying, damn, I should have tested the car first. And that's what I'm saying as well. You need to go and test something before you go and buy it. If you have a ton of money, if you have like $10 million and it's no sweat off your back, okay. If you're not concerned with how much it costs, okay. But if you don't like having to go and work your ass off for something and it turns out to be absolute dog shit, well, now you know. To conclude, don't buy the X80. It is not worth your money. If you're taking it to a drag strip, if you're running it for pure speed, then it's fine. Otherwise, don't buy it. It is not worth it. It is definitely not worth it. Because as we've seen, the Turismo is definitely a challenger to it. All it takes is a good driver behind it, and I guarantee that, you know, the Turismo will be a threat to the X80 on a drag strip. And on a road course, the X80 can't even compete. It gets smoked. In the video clips, I'm sure you saw, there was at one point where I was 54 seconds ahead of the X80. I was a minute ahead. I mean, And if I need to show more proof, I mean, just let me know in the comments, and I'll be happy to. I got video clips for days showing that I've beaten the X-80 time and time again with the Turismo against different people, both friends and randoms. All right. But anyway, this is the Apex Gamer. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like, sub, comment if you'd like. I'm not holding you to it. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Peace.